Hey there, friends and enemies, Joe here again, and today I need to talk about where winds meet after playing a bunch of the beta over the last few days and honestly finding myself pleasantly surprised. I had some concerns with some of the things we had learned about this game over the last few months, but for now I am really looking forward to getting hands-on once it does fully launch sometime later this year. Now, what is Where Winds Meet? It is described as an epic open-world action-adventure RPG set in 10th century China. It is also rooted in the rich legacy of wuxia, which is martial arts based, allowing players to embark on a journey to uncover their identity and the mystery surrounding them. Now, from what I've seen so far, there are some pros and cons of the formula that they've developed as far as a free-to-play adventure, and so I'm going to dive into all of that. But first, I want to talk about what I've liked about the game so far. The combat feels very fun. It does seem like there's going to be a lot of different styles to play and builds to make with all of these various options. You've got different weapons that all play very differently. You've got different fighting styles and talents which allow you to do different abilities, like for example, you can learn an ability from a bear that allows you to essentially throw enemies across a map. It is pretty hilarious in my opinion, and I do feel like there's a degree of levity to this game that I wasn't necessarily expecting, although it is mostly a serious in tone type of game. I was, like I said, concerned about the monetization, but so far from what's been announced, there is no pay to win or anything of that nature. There's going to be cosmetics, there's going to be battle passes, there's also going to be some gacha elements, but just for the effects and the weapon skins and all of that. So essentially your talents will have certain effects that you can equip that are obtained either through gacha, the battle pass, or whatever the case may be, to make them look a bit flashier, but is again in no way going to affect actual combat damage or anything like that. That is good to hear, although again I do remain skeptical because free-to-play games have a history of going hard left if they don't make enough money early on. The rumors are that the game has made a pretty significant amount so far because it is already released in China and has been doing very well from what we've heard. But again, we'll have to see when it does come west what they do implement as far as these monetization factors. Now, I do feel like the cosmetics are very, very good. The character customization I thought was extremely well done. There's a lot of options there. You can also pull from the options that are the most favored among other players, which I think is very, very interesting. You can also play this game completely solo if you do choose, or you can play a lot of it co-op. Now, there are sections that you have to play by yourself, especially in the beginning, but that's pretty standard. It feels like almost MMO-like in some of the features. However, most of the gameplay is going to be more of a traditional open-world action RPG. So that blend of genres is what I'm most interested in, because I do feel like as somebody who does enjoy MMOs but also action RPGs, I do feel like sometimes the games that I play lean too heavily in one or the other, and I would like to see a bit of both. Like, for example, the questing can feel so monotonous in the some traditional MMOs, just grinding over and over again to farm for materials. That can get a bit repetitive, whereas in open world RPGs there is so much land to explore that it almost feels incredibly daunting. So hopefully this is kind of something in between, where you have interesting, memorable quests along the way, but also a bit of locations to really adventure in and find yourself lost. Because the thing that I will say about this game that I like the most from my initial time with it, it's gorgeous. Not only is the landscape very pretty, the combat looks very fluid and very fun, but also the cutscenes are tremendous. Now, again, there are some things that I think are going to be interesting when I see how they pan out. I'm not sure about them long term. For example, the parry mechanic, where you can essentially have it on to where it's a easy mode, where it'll show you a button prompt. It'll slow time when you can parry that. So for those more hardcore players, that's not going to be probably something that you're looking forward to doing. But again, you can turn it off or on, so that is a positive there. If you're a player who is just looking to enjoy and experience the storyline, then you can definitely turn that on and make the game significantly easier. But that takes away from some of the combat, in my opinion. There's so many things like I was definitely learning, and you'll see in the gameplay that I didn't have it down quite yet, but there were so many abilities to use that they showcased with the initial tutorial area that I felt like it really gives you a hint on what to expect from later game content as well. Now, some other things to keep in mind. One is that because it's a free-to-play game, I do worry about the story long term, whether there will be any satisfying conclusions. You see this oftentimes with MMOs, or especially with gacha games like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, those types, where there's always something else coming, so they don't wrap things up in a neat little bow. I think Final Fantasy XIV is the best example of what I hope this is, in that they do have these arcs that kind of complete, and then once you finish that, you can move on to the next storyline after kind of having something of a conclusion that's really has you feeling a memorable moment, and not like, again, these ongoing games sometimes can feel like they constantly need something to tease you with for what's coming next, and that's what we'll have to wait and see once the actual game does fully launch. And it is a concern of mine. The two major concerns, like I mentioned, monetization, and then also the story, and whether it does feel satisfying at the end of the day. But I do feel like if you're a fan of action RPGs, especially for a free-to-play game, trying this out is definitely something I would recommend. It does feel like it's got some interesting elements there, again, with the talents, the abilities, the weapon styles. All the weapons have their own abilities as well, so you can kind of customize. I was using a weapon that gave me a defensive aura essentially for a while, and allowed me to really shield tank a lot of the damage, whereas you can use other like twin blades where you can be very fast and agile, and all of that I think lends itself to a lot of fun with this game in fighting and combat, which I do think is necessary, because you definitely want to have a lot of variety in order to keep people playing over the long haul. The other question I will have heading into launch is whether how long this game is going to be ultimately, and how long it's going to be initially when it first launches, and what content they're going to add down the line. But I am excited about the full launch. I will be checking this out, having a full gameplay, reviews, builds, all that kind of good stuff. So if you want to see all that, definitely stay tuned. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like the video as always, comment, subscribe. Have a good one. My name is Jopa, and I'll catch you all later.